G'day guys and welcome to Ask a Pathfinder's live play Pathfinder Playtest 2 thing, part 2. Because of course, this is not part 1, this is of course part 2 of an adventure that I have been running with these fine, fantastic people. If you want to see part 1, head on over to How to Be a Great GM. I assume it's going to be on the Bacon Battalion, or there's going to be Bacon Battalion?
The link's below.
Link below. Go click below, link. Part 1, good show, yes. As for what we're doing here, we're basically doing a run of just a small adventure, a one-shot that I have comprised with the Pathfinder 2nd edition rules, with Michael playing the Dwarven Monk Rendrick. Give us a wave. How you doing, buddy? Of course, Corey joining us with his Elven Wizard Telran. Sam with Tak, the Ranger Gublan, and Carrick Wraithwar, who is a Elven Bard, I think. Well, no, point be made. Last episode, he came up with a fantastic sonnet, so if you guys want to go check that out, go check that out. As for our current adventure, without any ado whatsoever, let's get straight into it. When last we left our adventurers, they were in fact in the small city in the plain of the Boneyard, known as Spire's Edge. They had recently perished at the hands of a large explosion whose origins were a strange green artifact currently in the possession of Tak. Their mission, their statement that they need to achieve is to head into the massive bone fields and exhume the body of a man that their employer wishes to resurrect and replace his body with that of the strange gemstone. Now, the group has called upon some aid in order to try and navigate this large and forebodingly grim area, which, by the way, for those of you who don't know, can see behind me. They have gained access to a very peculiar ally. That is, of course, the Undertaker, a very puckish-looking individual dressed in the garbs of an Undertaker, brandishing a large metal shovel, and, of course, with him, a carriage drawn by flaming skeletal horses, awaiting the adventurers to to inform him of their destination. All right. Onwards and upwards. The four of you are outside of your apartment complex.
Right, well, I suppose since Talran, you've sold your soul to this individual, that you get to tell him where we're going.
Well, I heard that we could take a tour guide around the place, maybe visit a graveyard.
Yes, of course. Oh, actually, you know what? I need the hat. I have to do the hat. There's no ifs or buts. But of course, if you wish for a tour, then I am more than happy to guide you through any aspect of the Boneyard that you would like to visit. Not just within Spire's Edge, but I could take you as far as the mournful shadows of Ill's Mouth, or I could take you to the large Shadow Pyramid to the west. I can take you to the deepest, darkest areas, or the highest peaks within the clouds of eternal sorrow. Where is
We
it?
have one condition. We need to remain unseen.
Unseen? Well, what is seen and unseen here is hard to say, but I suppose there are a few alleyways and secret tunnels that one might take to stay away from the ire of enemies.
They would be perfect and much appreciated.
Then please. And he gestures towards his carriage.
I get in.
All right. As you all embark on the carriage, he jumps aboard the front of in the driver's seat, and he lashes at the reins. The horses kick up, and fire and plumage, like these smoky plumes, just erupt as the carriage begins to make its way through the dark and desolate streets. Now, as you journey and travel, Telran, you begin to have kind of this like throbbing headache, like something is something sort of nagging at the back of your head. You feel drawn to what appears to be a large mountain to the east. The further you get away from it, the more intense your headache seems to feel.
Can I instruct the Undertaker to take us towards the mountain?
Of course, of course. The Mount of Eternal Doom.
Sounds like a delightful place.
Is there a reason why you want us to go there, Master Wizard?
Let's just call it a prohibition.
Premonition?
All right. Tac. Did you bring the thing?
I do have it in my possession.
Rendrick, you got your not your tiger claw stance this time. We probably need your badger attack to dig. You know what I'm saying?
I understand what is required of me. Do not worry.
I'm not worried. You're all very, very capable. Absolutely. Just making sure that if the time is right, we can act so that we can.
We'll be fine. Stop your worrying.
It is good to have a cautious mind.
There, you see? Cautious mind, absolutely. By the way, what is the Undertaker dressed in? He's got that tall hat. That looks like he's got quite a lot of cash on him, or not, really?
The Undertaker's hat is very kind of, it's kind of like that, sort of funeral attire. He's kind of ragged around the cornices of his gear. The only thing of value you can probably see on him is his shovel, which, despite obviously being used as a shovel, appears to have this very, very brilliant sheen to it. And for the discerning eye, it also appears to have several sigils and runes carved into the handle.
I have a check to see what the runes are.
Arcane check, if you wish to.
How does a 26 sound?
It sounds like you identify them as warding runes. They are runes that, generally speaking, if one was to be buried by this shovel, they would be buried in the equivalent of consecrated ground.
No returning.
We might have to steal this shovel.
I don't know what you mean. What do we call you, O driver of the carriage?
Oh, please, just call me the Undertaker.
All right. Just the Undertaker. Tell me, has anybody ever left here other than the usual means of being judged?
Oh, of course. There are many people who have come and gone all the time. I, for one, journey here from my home quite frequently.
And where is your home exactly?
He sort of looks around at the sky and sort of points up towards where you see the skull moon. Beyond this place, about there-ish.
So then, forgive me, but you made a deal with our dear friend Talaran here to get hold of his earthly possessions. Now, that would imply either you want to sell them or that you're a collector of junk. I mean, let's be honest. He's not carrying a lot of valuable items. I should know.
Well, that is a very interesting point. How can I say this? Every man, every woman, every child, every creature has a flavor. And this flavor permeates onto their things, their belongings, their stuff. Even the most mundane objects can sometimes have a resonance, if you will, of their previous owner. I am a collector of this flavor. Everyone is different, everyone is unique, and I enjoy having a wide variety of these collection tidbits.
Kind of like a herb wall.
Yes, that's a very astute way of putting it.
Well, isn't it fascinating? So, where are we going exactly? What's it known for? What's its claim to fame?
Ah, yes, the Doomed Mountain. It was named this way because everyone who went there appeared to get lost in the fog. The fogs that roll around the base of the mountain tend to disorient, not just from navigation, but the mind as well, slowly eroding away at it, making people forget where they were and why they were going places.
Talaran, are you sure that that's really where we want to get? I mean, I thought we had to go to the graveyard to damn the money.
I don't really want to forget who I am.
Oh, do not worry. Just stay away from the Valley of Lost Souls, and you will be right as rain. The mountain itself is quite treacherous, but if you fall, yes, you usually end up in the valley, and that's what really causes problems. I mean, what's the worst that can happen? You're already dead.
Wait, what do you mean treacherous? As you say, we're already dead. Surely we can't die again.
Treacherous? Did I say treacherous? I didn't say treacherous. That is not a word that I would ever use here. What I meant to say is that the climb is a long climb. It could take a while.
I see.
Why again are we heading this direction?
That's a very good question.
I was having a very strong headache heading away from the mountain, but I see this might not be the place we want to go. So I'm just going to put myself to sleep and we can go to the graveyard. I may not be of any use, but at least we don't end up forgetting who we are.
Well,
This seems like one way to go.
You getting a headache? Like, before we dismiss this whole thing, like, there could be something leading you there, something of importance maybe we might need. Or maybe you just get random headaches.
We are almost there if it makes any difference. I mean, if you could get out, you could stretch your legs, take in the sights, maybe yell at the mountain. I don't know. Tourists.
Did you eat or drink anything since we arrived here, Teleran?
No, not at all.
Maybe it was a poison that you came into contact with. Were you struck by any of those strange ghost-like creatures that attacked us?
No.
No, that sort of rules out the fact that it was the Undertaker who poisoned you to make you agree to go on the journey in the first place. It was a bit of a stretch. Oh, I don't know. Maybe we should just have a brief look around. It does seem strange that as we moved away, you seem to start having this effect. I'm no magician, but I certainly know when to listen to one's instinct, if you like.
I would have thought it would have come from the gemstone that Tak is on.
The wheelbarrow that he has in his backpack? Yes, probably the wheelbarrow. Yeah, probably that.
The Undertaker says, "We are here." As you step out of the carriage, you can see before you this towering mountain that sticks out like a jagged thorn from the landscape itself. You see that there is no clear path up the mountain, but you can see that the peak itself appears to illuminate what seems to be a large reflection that shines towards the spire in the center of the boneyard. The huge cathedral to Pharasma has all of these like basically lines of light that coalesce towards it, and you can tell that the top of here is one of these sources. And as described, out on the bluff where you currently have parked your carriage is a huge valley that leads down, curving and sloping with the landscape. And in it is this rolling mist. You can kind of hear but not see thousands and thousands of voices that seem to be calling out. Where? Who? Where? Hello? Is anyone there? Please. Please help.
Where your migraine has brought us.
Unfortunately,
How's your head doing?
feeling
It's good. It's clear.
clear-headed now. Like, I'm more surprised and shocked than you guys are.
This is very odd.
Someone take a look at that letter. Perhaps there's a little...
Mr. Undertaker, you can go now. You can zip off into your other world. We're here. We've had the tour. You've made your deal with young Talran.
All right. Well, again, if you want me, you know how to find me, yes? He sort of takes out his scissors and he creates a cut big enough for his horses to get through as well. And he...
Can I try and kick a pebble through that hole?
Yep, the pebble seems to go through as it sort of rolls in. And it...
All right, gentlemen, a little lesson in clandestine operations. When one is in enemy territory, one shouldn't refer to the weaponry that one's going to use to thwart the actions of the enemy. Now, I understand that duplicitous actions may not necessarily be your fortes. Yes, I know this. I understand this. It's a burden I'm willing to bear, really. But don't mention the fact that we have this necromantic skull of ancient power. They might use it against us or something. You don't know who to trust here.
Ah, yes. I'm sorry. I always forget not everybody is as trustworthy as me.
It's
Trustworthy is a word to use. Yes, trustworthy, gullible, interchangeable, really. So your head brought us here. Now, what does that note say? You say we had to, replace the corpse. But how do we know which corpse to replace? Does it give us a name?
The name is Arias Eliadre.
Can we scream that name out into the fog, maybe?
You may do so. Please do so.
Go tell her and scream it.
Elias Eliadre.
Elias Eliadre, step forth.
Forth. The echo is all that's returned.
I do recall these voices not knowing who they are.
Well, if they don't know who they are, we don't know what this Arias looks like, so that leads us nowhere. Do you think the grave might be on this mountaintop?
Possibly. He's up for climbing.
No, I thought you might say that.
I'm
All
up
right.
for it.
If you wish to potentially scale this mountain, please make me a survival check in order to attempt to navigate this. Tell me if you have expert in survival, as you will have an extra bit of information you can glean.
I got a 10.
I have expert in it.
Okay.
Coming from the mountains themselves.
I got a 9.
17.
I shouldn't laugh. I feel like that's a bad practice, is when the GM laughs at terrible rolls. But I can't help it. All right. Tak and Rendrick, you find that there is a small path that would lead you most of the way up the mountain with very little resistance. However, both of you, as expert survivalists, also know that as you get higher and higher, the air will become thinner and thinner. And as it does so, it'll become difficult to navigate.
Tak.
Yeah.
If we're dead, do we need to breathe?
Try moving the mic away from your mouth first, and also try holding your breath for 10 seconds. Tell me if there's any difference.
You don't seem to feel the need to want to breathe in.
Well, there we go.
Yeah.
You're right.
So I assume we don't need to breathe. We probably would not be fatigued if that is a case, but be ever vigilant.
All right.
Let's head up.
Very
also,
well.
As we go, I think it would be best for us to, as we traverse this fog, to maintain like eyesight on each other. If at all possible, if anyone has any rope, we could attach each other to so we do not get lost. It'd be good if we were to take these measures.
All right. What is your marching order?
I believe it'd be best if I went first. I am a person who does these sort of things.
Why not the monk, then the ranger, then the bard, then myself?
That can be arranged.
Either the ranger or myself. Either Tak or myself are most likely to lead. The other of us should be at the back.
I can bring up the rear. That's absolutely not a problem. I start looping the rope around myself and then playing it out to Telran, I suppose.
Yep. So passing it through, Telran ties himself off. Then he passes it to Tak, who ties himself off, and then finally Rendrick, biggest knot, gets tied up. As you begin to scale the large mountain, as you do, you could see that the pathway that the two survivalists had found affords some level of comfort from the strong winds that seem to be blowing from the various sides. As you sort of get higher and higher, you look downwards towards where the valley is, and you can see silhouettes of people moving like ants amongst the gaps in the fog. As you approach what appears to be the end of the path, there is a small rope bridge and a sign which says, "Danger. Those who proceed beyond here are no longer in the sight of the pallid goddess."
I think
Well,
this might be beyond her
exactly
realm.
what we want.
It could prove beneficial, absolutely.
Seated on top of the sign appears to be a very unusual looking bird. This bird appears to be wearing a mask, a similar mask to that you've seen for a plague doctor, with leather kind of beak and these goggles on its eyes.
Any idea what this is?
I do believe that's a bird with a mask.
Like a test.
Religion, if you wish to.
17.
Critical failure.
Are you
13.
trained in religion? Are you an expert in religion?
I am not. I'm only trained.
Okay. It's a bird with a mask.
Greetings, bird.
Evening.
What are you doing out here?
I'm guarding the way through here.
Why might you guard this area?
Well, guard is kind of a strong word. I'm more just watching people and trying to tell them not to go across.
Why might they not want to go across?
Oh, it's a mighty long fall down.
That'd be a fair reason.
Ah. Are you supposed to be here? You do not look like petitioners. You look like, souls.
What is
No, we are meant to be here.
I do believe that we are meant to be here.
Well, to answer your question, what is beyond here is lands that have been corrupted by the enemy of the goddess.
The goddess of life?
I believe Pharasma.
No. It's the other goddess, the pallid princess. Spits on the ground. She's corrupted the land. Just beyond here. So we tell souls to stay clear if they know what's good for them.
Why is she at war with the other goddess? What does she hope to achieve?
Don't you know that? The goddess Urgathoa raises the dead. Those people who are unsatisfied with death. Those who still wish to sup at the life that they had left behind and return to the world of the living. They get wrested from their resting place and turned into horrible monstrosities. Monstrosities. They are an affront to everything Our Lady stands for.
You didn't happen to bump into someone by the name of Arias Eliandra, did you? Who may have crossed this bridge himself not too long ago?
Arias. Oh, there was one individual who did pass through here. Didn't catch his name, but he was accompanied by a caretaker. Yes.
I see a scam being played out here, gentlemen. This Undertaker fellow who thinks he's so benevolent and showing poor souls around this great city. I think he brings them here on pretext of gaining their possessions. He knows what happens to the souls beyond this point, and so he's guaranteed to get his possessions.
Well, if he wanted to get rid of someone, this is the place to do it. Many people walk through here and never return.
Have any ever returned?
Oh, yes. I come back all the time, but that's because I don't go beyond the sign.
Why do you wear that mask?
Oh, what mask? Oh, yes. Oh, you must be fresh from the mortal realms. This is no mask. This is my face. I am a Nasoi, messenger and herald to the goddess of death herself. Delivered all kinds of important messages. Although currently my occupation is to tell people to not go across this bridge. That's the message I carry now, and I've carried it proudly for 3 centuries. But I love my job.
Do I believe him if he loves his job?
You feel like there's probably a certain air of bitterness to his statement, but he seems very loyal to Pharasma, the way he talks about her and the enemies of Pharasma and all that.
Can I use the spell See Invisible, like to see over past the bridge?
Yeah, sure. As you look on beyond past over the bridge, you really can see what was it? You see that the slope continues upwards, but it's no longer a carved path that slowly ascends. Instead, it is now a roughed dirt road that is overgrown with grass and moss and lichen, and it just doesn't look very, it looks like, as he says, very few people travel that way, but it does look like a way that people can travel.
So who wants to cross the bridge?
I do believe
Don't you
that is
ever
our
ask.
current path. Now, the real question is who's going first?
I shall go first.
Ah, well, I've got to warn you. I wouldn't do that if I were you.
You've already said you would warn us, and we have
I-
already decided to go anyway.
Oh, okay. Well, if you insist, but I don't suppose you would happen to be able to read the sign backwards now, would you?
We can always try.
The sign says, "Beware ye who enter past this point."
Wait a minute. Is there another way to enter here apart from this way?
No.
I think you're lying. That way we don't pass this point if we come in from another perspective, isn't it?
No, this is the only point forward. So you should read this sign backwards and go through this point.
You just told us not to go through this point.
I mean, not go through this point. Damn it.
Things are starting to look a little interesting. Can anyone read that sign backwards? Because I definitely can't.
The sign literally says, "Point this post, enter, who ye beware."
I'm confused.
I think it just means we must take a different path.
I pick up the sign.
What shape is the sign in?
You grab the sign, you sort of try to pull it out. It seems to be firmly lodged in and won't budge, even a little.
Tilt it? Like just twist it? No?
Nope. It is firmly down.
Is it in the shape of like an arrow, or is it
It's just a
a
signboard.
square sign?
Yeah.
Square sign.
Can you see any other way of entering into this mountain, not this particular point?
Please make me perception checks as you begin to search the area.
24.
23.
Okay. So as you begin to look around the area, you find that on one side of the wall, there appears to be this crawling vines that seem to be hanging from it. Now, as you look at the wall, it just looks like a wall of vines, but you quickly realize that it actually looks as though it climbs up onto a path above your current location. And were you to climb it, were you to scale it, you should be able to take quite a substantial shortcut compared to crossing the bridge.
Who's up for a climb?
You hear the voice come from the bird. Don't do that. No, you shouldn't go forward.
Enough of the bird. Are we in agreement?
We are.
Yeah.
I appreciate your concern, Bird, but this is our path and we must take it. Gentlemen?
All right. As you turn, you may begin to make your athletics check to climb forth and scale the mountain
Oh boy.
of doom.
14.
22. I do have a climbing kit. So
Okay.
that
Tac
helps.
16.
16.
Do we get any benefits for being roped together?
Yes, you do.
Okay.
I'm going to say that you get a +2 benefit for being roped together.
All right. Well, I get a 15.
Okay. I was waiting for you to say something silly like
24 for me.
2. I got a 2 on my climb. It's like, well, you got a 4. All right. No, actually, with relative ease and with you all following Rendrick's very firm grasp as they scales up the vines, and of course, Carrick as well, managing to bring up the rear very effectively. You managed to scale halfway up the side of this wall. All right. As you continue onwards, I would request another athletics check, but also a perception check following as well.
17 on athletics and
Oh, natural 20 on perception.
Oh,
25 on athletics.
okay.
And a 20 on perception.
26 perception.
18 for athletics and a 13 for perception.
Okay. All right. As you continue to scale up, which you do very successfully, you notice that the bird changes shape, becoming what appears to be this tiny little green winged demon. It lunges up, flying, flapping its wings, claws at the ready to attack. And as it gets close to you, as none of you have actually struggled, you see this ethereal chain grab it by the neck and pin it to the signboard as it lashes out, angrily flapping its wings, swearing and spitting infernal at you as it rages against you.
Nice.
Carrick, your warning not to trust anyone has not fallen on deaf ears.
Yeah! Not to trust anyone except for me, obviously. But yes, absolutely. And I'm very, very flattered. We'll make a decent thief, a decent human out of you, a dwarf out of you, yes. Oh, look, we're nearly at the top.
Indeed you are. As you scale, as your scale continues, you begin to make your way to what appears to be the summit of this large mountain. The path in front of you now leading to what appears to be a reflective pool. But something peculiar about this pool is that rather than having a flat surface, it seems as though the gravity has skewed the surface tension of the water, creating a mirrored reflection as light seems to shine from the pool outwards towards the spire. There, at the top, you see what appears to be a torso of some variety, but it seems to be a torso made of jade that seems to be like sort of sitting in the pool.
Does this particular torso have a head?
It does not. It has no arms, no waist, no lower body, no head.
So it's just a giant block of very expensive, precious stone sitting in the middle of an unclaimed pool, is what I'm hearing.
Very much so.
Does not seem safe.
I agree. Why just leave a torso jade in the pool reflecting lights?
What's the stone on top of the skull?
Sorry?
Like the skull we have in our possession, like what's the stone on it again?
Jade.
That's right. It's the same material.
Can I use Ray of Frost towards the torso maybe and freeze the pool?
As you cast Ray of Frost, it basically creates what is effectively an icicle which, as you can imagine, a ray is a very thin beam of frost. And basically you see this bloop as this very thin icicle now floats on the surface.
Can I check our surroundings?
Looking around you from the top of the mountain, you actually are afforded quite a spectacular view of the boneyard. And you certainly see what they mean when they call it the field of bones, where you've got like literally all the graveyards, like literally countless tombstones and mausoleums. It looks almost as if you watch it for a time, it grows and it's stretching out, and this land is ever expanding.
Huh. That's eerily beautiful.
Yes, it is eerily beautiful, that amount of jade. Now, does it look, Michael, does it look like the skull would fit onto that torso?
It does look about the right size for it.
Perhaps we are
Still don't know.
Place the skull on top of the...
How heavy is the skull?
The skull currently has got a pretty heavy weight. By the way, for Pathfinder 2nd edition, we manage things in the way of bulk. A light object usually is what's called an L. 10 light objects makes 1 bulk. You can carry as much as equal bulk to your strength. So the actual bulk of the head is 1 bulk, which is pretty sizably heavy. It's about maybe about, for those of you in Australia, about maybe 1.5 kilo, 2 kilo. Those of you in America, you can figure it out yourself.
I'm American.
Because I don't know how much it is. I'm going to be honest. Math's not my strong suit. Weird hobby for someone whose maths is bad.
Well, if you hold it up, Tac, I can try and move that head onto the statue itself. I suspect there's a connection here, but I'm also full of trepidation to actually enter this odd pool, if you get my meaning.
I understand this. I take it out of my bag of holding.
Now, before I take any responsibility for these actions, let's be honest, I'll never take responsibility for my actions, but before I would even think about it, are we all in agreement that I should attach that head onto the torso? All right.
I do believe there is no other reason why we would come all the way here with...
It does seem right. It does seem, yeah.
I'm no genius, but 1 + 1 = 2.
Yes, that's your favorite equation, and only equation, I suspect. All right, so I invoke...
No, did say replace the corpse with the head, though.
Perhaps we are to replace the corpse with the whole body.
I like what the goblin is saying, although by implication then there's arms and legs and lower torso that are still missing. Oh, my.
Well, I guess we can always take the head off.
Yes, I'm not going to leave something this valuable. I mean, the cheap trinkets. It's good artistic quality. No, enough of that now. We're going to cast spells now. We're casting spells. We're casting spells. Yeah, I'm going to use the cantrip Mage Hand, which can lift light bulk or less. And I'm going to evoke the power of the spell using my poetry, of course. I've got 3 lines that I've jotted down here. Behold, the land of the dead, bleak darkness and horror and dread. Our valiant hero, Carrick, it is said. And I will continue the rest of the poem later, I say, as I continue to move the skull with the mage hand to the torso.
All right, floating away from Tac, the skull begins to lift and eerily float over the pool before landing on top of the shoulders of the torso. There is a click and a flash of light searing the seal between the head and the body, creating a full-formed torso that now sits almost like an armless man in a jacuzzi.
Well, that was less dramatic than I thought.
As soon as you do this, the water then turns green, and doing so, this ooze begins to pour out from the pool of water. As it does so, slurping out, you see the skeletal forms of what appears to be 4 lizard-like creatures who have spinal columns as clubs in their hands. Their jaws completely detached from any kind of flesh or skin or sinew. Their eyes glowing red, because red's an angry color, at you as they lunge in to attack.
I spoke too soon.
Roll initiative as you are being attacked by skeleton lizards.
What are we rolling?
All right. I gotta get used to this. We are not rolling initiative. All right. So I am going to say that everyone can roll me a perception check, but Carrick, as you were floating things around, I will allow you to opt to either make a perception roll or you can make your spell attack roll as a thing, as that was what you were currently doing at the time. And this will also determine whether or not you were concentrating on that too much or too little.
Natural 1.
Oh yeah, you're concentrating on that way too much.
Right.
Okay, so initiatives, what do we have?
29.
29,
28.
28,
22.
22, and Carrick,
Natural 1, sorry.
which is plus your
Plus 8, so it was 9 in total.
9 total. Okay. Yes. Sadly, no automatic failures when it comes to skeletons. Here we go. All right. As they are going to go for a whopping, resounding 14 for their initiative. All right. So first and foremost is, of course, Tac Tac, who sees these skeletons lurching outwards.
Is there any higher ground in visible sight?
There is a small kind of like collection of rocks up here that you could possibly climb.
Tac Tac will move his full distance away, and then he will fire off 1 shot.
Okay, so you're full moving. So you basically, so you've spent 2 actions to go up to where that rock is. 1 action to climb it, which you don't need to really, make the roll. It's a reasonably easy climb. And once you are atop, you notch one of your arrows, pull it back on the bowstring, and release it. It flies through the air with the greatest of ease.
19.
19 to hit will hit this skeleton as it emerges.
3 damage.
As the arrow flies straight through its bones and lands in the water behind it.
Uh-oh. Well, looks like you boys are on your own in this fight.
Good luck, guys. All right. Next up is Telran.
I'm going to use a fireball.
Oh. All right. Summoning forth the
Classic.
flames gathered from his arcane studies. You watch as the roaring fire coalesces into a tiny seed in his hand as he readies to throw it. I imagine amongst the full group of them. They make a reflex of 11.
Which does not make it.
Okay, they do not. They take full damage.
27 damage.
Wow, 27 damage. All right, well, they all die.
Ah!
As they explode, these skeletons just vaporize. As of course, Tac Tac's arrow, said to skeleton, his fireball said, to whom it may concern, and exploded forth with showers of bone and gore and viscera everywhere. Well, not viscera, but just everything. As it seems to quiet down, however, and you celebrate and cheer as the skeletons have dispersed, you notice that the bones begin to rattle and shake, and they begin to move towards each other. The leg bones connecting to the knee bones. The knee bones connecting to the thigh bones.
Quick! Someone grab the statue before the song continues.
All right. Yes, it is reassembling to a degree, but it looks like it is reassembling into some form of larger monstrosity. All right. So with 22 on initiative, Rendrick, it is your turn.
Seeing these skeletons forming close together, forming back into one form, I quickly run up, grab the largest bit, and throw it as far as I can away from the heap. Try to buy us some time.
All right. As you run up to it, you grab hold of what appears to be a rib cage, and you throw the rib cage away. It sort of bounces on the ground before shattering, and then you watch as the rib cage sort of reforms and coalesces. Instead of ribs, they basically flip upside down and basically function like spider legs, as these ribs begin to sort of crawl towards the large amalgaming creature. Carrick, what do you do?
What I always do in situations like this, I dash for the statue.
All right. Running forth to the statue, you find that the statue is worth 2 bulk. And you, I assume, try to rest there.
Oh my! Is there a fast where we can get down this hill quickly?
We might just have to jump.
What? We risk breaking the statue. We can't do that. That would halve its value. I mean, that would possibly break the spell.
Is there any way down?
The path you came. The path you came is also pretty clear. If any of you can fly, that's a thing. That's all I got. I mean, you could technically rappel if you have, like, you've got your rope and you're all tied together anyway.
Yeah, my climbing kit comes with pulleys and whatnot.
It looks like we're going to have to make a dash for the edge.
All right. We then go to the skeletons, and they sort of start coalescing, but the rib cage is still on its way as it makes its way in. The creature now looks to be this hulking reptilian creature with 4 arms. It lets loose a terrifying roar, and as it does, you notice that there's a lizard head that roars, and inside is another lizard head that roars, and then this tiny itty-bitty little head goes as it nibbles and bites at you.
I think we should get out of here as soon as possible.
Yeah.
All right. Tac Tac. I keep wanting to call you Tic Tac.
I guess our plan is just to get out of here, so towards the cliff I go.
All right, you make your way towards the bluff of the edge of the cliff. You begin to make your way as you run, and you get to the edge, and you look down, and you can see it's a pretty nasty fall.
Well, boys, I guess we're going to have to start climbing.
All right, make an athletics check.
Hey, that's that'd be a 21, but it's also a natural 20.
All right, with a critical success, you basically tie yourself off and you continue. You basically one-handed climb down at a reasonable pace. I'm going to say that you have the condition called anchored, where you are now anchored to that location. So if they fall without making a save, you are so secure on your location that you will automatically save them should anyone fall at this point because you're all tied together.
Start jumping.
You could. All right. Then we have Telran.
Can I use read aura and read the aura of this skeleton, if it's magical or not?
You may absolutely do so by channeling your magical energies into your eyes. You begin to see everyone's aura. You watch as Rendrick's aura seems to glow and Carrick's aura seems to glow. And you watch the skeleton, which seems to have next to nothing. Just this kind of darkness that seems to cling to its bones. You identify this as necromantic magic, and more specifically, it is a type of undead.
Can I begin one of the actions for my Dispel Magic spell?
Yes. Yes, you can.
And then finish it next round?
Absolutely. So
That's what I'm going to do.
All right, spending one of your actions, you begin the incantation for your Dispel Magic ability. You watch as the symbols begin to appear and they change and they shift, and get ready to obviously cast your spell. All right, next up, Rendrick.
Seeing Tak leap off the edge and Taran prepare to cast a spell, I feel that it is time to be leaving. Rendrick runs to the edge, gets his grappling hook, shoves it into the top, and starts lowering himself down.
Very well. As you do so, please make me an athletics check as you begin to descend.
That is a 28.
Oh, like a champ. As well, equally making it and anchoring yourself well into the wall. Carrick.
I'm coming! I'm coming!
Now, you have a unique situation where you're going to attempt to climb with something in both your hands.
Oh, I've done that before. That's not a problem. Look at this. You just take the rope and you hook it around your foot and you slide it up underneath the knees, and then you kind of hover. You take one hand and you wrap it around the rope. You take the other hand and you wrap it around this, and you don't look down. And you then very carefully make sure to just lower yourself down as best you can.
Make an athletics check, please.
Oh, dear. Athletics. I'm trained in athletics because of that amulet of mine. So that would be 16, 17, 18.
With an 18, a strong wind kicks up. And as you fall downwards, your skills and proficiency at climbing kick in, and you safely manage to descend, carrying your well-earned treasure along with you.
It's mine.
Damn you and your devil's luck. Very well. At the top of the mountain is now pretty much only Telran. Tak, Rendrick, and Carrick, you have begun your descent. However, you do notice that the tension on the rope is still taut from where Telran is still, from him still being up on the top. So, Tak, we're up to you. Oh, wait, no, sorry, we're not up to you. The skeletons get to go. The skeletons, you basically see like the final piece of Voltron attaching to the chest of the giant skeletal lizard. As it beats its chest and basically rushes forth.
Sound like a xylophone? Does it sound like a xylophone when he does it?
Oh yeah. As it lunges forth and pounces at Telran, it attempts to make a pair of claw attacks. Well, four claw attacks. No. No. Huh. No. Huh. For Christ's sake. Are you serious? All right. Whatever. I didn't want to attack him anyway. I didn't want to do it. So,
It's a very
Telran,
evil wizard.
these claws basically just come at you like a flurry. You don't even see where they are. You just sort of like half close your eyes and just start ducking and weaving. And you somehow miraculously, every single attack just completely and utterly misses you.
Beautiful. Beautiful.
All right. From this point, we then go back to Tac.
So from where I am, like the rope's got a bit of tension because our friend is still up there.
That is correct.
Now's the time to leave, buddy, and I start yanking on the rope.
All right. Yep, you can tell Rand, you can kind of feel your rope tugging you to one side. Tac just goes, huh! And just pulls it. All right.
And also, I must try to make my descent.
You can't while it's taut, but I can say you can ready your action to do that. All right, Telran.
After dodging all those blows and I'm about to finish my spell, I do so and uppercut with a finger click as Dispel Magic goes off.
All right, so as you raise your fist to the sky, your magic basically explodes, casting Dispel on the creature, which, let's see what that actually does. How does that actually work? Explain how that works, Corey.
Dispels the necromantic magic that's supplying its form.
Yes, that's correct.
And if I succeed against a spell effect, I dispel it. So whatever is holding it together, if I can, I believe I roll a spell attack, a spell roll, and if I surpass, then I'm right.
Okay, roll it. I'm just going to check the DC, which for those of you who are like me, just looking up the rules as we're doing this, is on page 197 of the playtest. Dispelling magic. Some spells can be used to dispel at least one creature or object, blah, 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 blah. This is a counteract check. See page 319. Christ. And then, look, counteract. Okay. Counteracting levels. Okay. Some effects counteract conditions, affliction, blah, blah, blah. When attempting to counteract an effect, compare the contracted level to the level of the ability you're using. A spell is equal to the spell level for the counteract levels of the ability. If your ability is higher than the counteract level, it is automatically successful. If your level is the same, you must succeed a check. You take a cumulative -5 for every level by which your counteract is lower. Okay, so you would need to make a counteraction check. Your current level is 5, so you would need to make me a check with a -5 penalty.
So I did roll before, and I got a 24, so would that mean a 19?
That would have been a 19, which is plenty, and will successfully disrupt the undead as it falls shattered to pieces on the ground. And the tiny little head's like...
Nice.
All right. All right, you are out of initiative. You begin your descent once more. You can see the little demon that's on that bridge sees you climb down. Sort of like seems very fed up, looking at you with hateful eyes.
Climb.
Do we want to go back to that? I do believe he tried to attack us.
No. You can keep going past him. You don't have to go. You don't even remotely have to deal with him. You just notice him. I mean, you guys can like give him the finger as you move past or whatever, but that's about it.
No need to further...
I'll hold myself back.
Yeah, exactly. No need to make a bad situation worse.
I cast invisibility on the statue, by the way.
All right. You basically see him walking around like this now. Like, well, literally what he's doing. All right. As you make your way down, you eventually come to the base of the mountain with your new friend. It is cold, and a rain starts to basically cover the area with a soft.
I wonder if is it quite far to our apartment?
You look back and see about 16 miles away is where the apartment blocks are.
The whistle. I
Yeah,
get the
this
whistle
is a
and call
light
the
job.
Undertaker.
All right. You blow the whistle again, and again there is a pair of scissors that appear.
I cut open a portal for our Undertaker friend and his horses.
The Undertaker and his horses indeed appear in front of you. As they gallop into view, they see you, and the Undertaker takes off his hat and says, "Ah, in need of me so soon? I did not expect to see so many people here twice in one day."
We're
Tell me,
hoping you could take us back to our apartments where we first met, my friend.
Oh, well, I could certainly do this. That wouldn't be a problem at all. But I would need some payment.
Is my soul not enough? My
I-
belongings and stuff.
Yes, I have a belonging from you, but now I wish for something belonging to maybe someone else. How about you, small, tiny, tooth-filled creature?
My name is Tech. Oh, wrong character. Hold on. Let me get the southern accent back. There we go.
Get the vibe.
What would you like from me?
Well, just something small from your belongings once you have passed on to your eternal rest.
Well, I don't have much, but when I'm passing on, I guess you can have what's left.
Yeah, most excellent. Very well. Then my carriage is yours.
Good,
So-
let's get into it quickly.
Are you okay?
I'm fine,
I
fine. I've got a cramp.
I have potions for cramping. He holds
I
up a vial that looks like it's filled with blood.
can't afford it. Sorry, never mind. I sort of climb into the carriage.
Bananas are also good for that.
Let's
All right.
go.
He whips the horses into shape as they begin to gallop towards the apartments again. When all of a sudden, Carrick, your mind begins to ache and throb, especially hard.
The statue's no longer invisible. Stop the wagon. Stop it right now. I am overcome by fatigue. The muse, she strikes, but with pain and dagger rather than with love and caress. Talran, when you said you had a headache, does it feel like there was someone inside your skull trying to desperately drag you towards a moral, upstanding livelihood and to help, children without trying to take their candy from them? Did it feel like that? Something like that?
That is an excellent way to explain it.
Right. Oh, it's horrid. I understand why you're so grim now, Randrick. Yeah. Where are we?
Currently, you are in the middle of basically one of the paths in the grave area. You kind of look around, and as you do, you feel the headache sort of subsiding and soothing as you look at what appears to be the dark mire to the south.
I think we have to go there, I say, pointing towards it.
Looks like that's our next destination.
But I think we're running out of people.
Perhaps we'll find more of this statue.
That is what I suspect.
Is
Can we
there any-
change? Oh, sorry, tack.
Is there any possible way I could fit that statue into my bag of holding?
For the purposes of it, I'm going to say that this bag of holding has an elastic component to it, and you can...
One size fits all.
Oh, that's much better. All right, into that land of darkness, if you please, driver. We're not going home, apparently.
Oh, well, if you are certain, do not worry. I will get you there as swiftly as possible.
Good.
He turns and he whips. And you feel your headache slowly subsiding and being soothed and almost replaced with a sense of euphoria as you get closer and closer to the marshes. Once you get, you're about maybe a couple of hours out when the Undertaker stops the carriage.
Why have we stopped?
The Undertaker says, I cannot take you further than this with the carriage. This is the marshlands of the punished. It is just before the mires themselves, and, well, it's supposed to reflect one's soul. I prefer not to enter such an area with me and the horses because, well, sometimes one cannot see everything that is in one's reflection. But, be warned, for whatever travels within this area tends to find that the monsters that lurk within are not the monsters they seek, but the ones that hide and lurk within their own souls.
Can I just point to our ginger dwarven friend and be like, he doesn't have a soul, so he'll be right.
You've been waiting on that your whole life, haven't you, Corey?
Yes, very much so.
Very well.
Very harsh.
So I assume we're gonna experience some pretty insane hallucinations on our way in there, so be extra vigilant.
Yes. Watch out for hallucinations.
Yes, hallucinations. That's what I said.
All right, fellas, let's saunter on in.
Because it's a marsh, I'm not particularly familiar with those, but aren't those full of quicksand and sinking pits and things?
Yes, very much so.
Maybe our
I'm
tied
far out
together
of
rope
my
trip again?
Also, I find that it is dangerous for you to go alone. You should take this. He hands you a stick.
And what is this meant to be?
Well, as you are journeying here, the power of this stick will become apparent as you use it to feel if there's ground underneath you in front of you by poking it.
I like it.
So it's a stick.
Seems awfully generous of you.
Ah, well, sticks, they come, they go.
Yeah.
He smiles at you again with his Cheshire grin that goes from ear to ear and is filled with razor-sharp teeth.
Can we ask him to wait so we don't have to donate any more souls every time we contact him?
I'll give you some time.
Here we go.
All right. Well, I suppose that's the two of our Pathfinders in front, and then the two spell casters at the back, I suppose. Although I'm running out of cantrips and things. Well, not cantrips.
Tac, you take the lead on this one. Swamps are not my strongest point.
Well,
All right.
fellas, I will do my best to guide you as safe as I can. Trust in my ability.
Okay. As you begin to make your way through, please make me a survival check as you continue your journey.
Can I
All
aid
of us?
Yes, you may aid him. And I know exactly how that works because I learnt it and I didn't just print out cheat sheets.
I don't think it's gonna matter.
I printed out cheat sheets. Aid. Aid is an event some way. Typical aid is 15. All right. So what'd you get
20.
to aid? Who's aiding? Who's aiding and who's doing?
I'm aiding.
Got a 16.
Okay, so both of you aid. So that's a +4 bonus.
5. No, actually, 5, 6, 7. 7.
All right. You all begin to help each other, point each other in the wrong direction. As you begin to journey into the marshlands, a thin veil slowly encompasses your feet as the roiling, stagnant smells offend your senses, and the lights, dim as they are from the glowing lights at the central cathedral, are being obscured by the canopy of twisting and gnarled leaves that hang in the air. You guys can hear the sounds of something scratching coming up ahead, as if something were frantically scribbling.
Fellas, I believe now would be the time to prepare for something.
Is it quite dark
For
here?
a fight.
It is twilight, so it's kind of like dim light, low light vision.
Tac draws his bow and readies an arrow.
All right. Does anyone else wish preparation?
I stand even further behind Teleran.
I crack my knuckles.
You gain early onset arthritis. Telran.
I'll prepare an electric arc.
Okay, tiny bits of electricity tend to spark between your fingertips as you're ready to cast. As you come over through a cloud of this rolling mist, Tac, you can see about a half dozen goblins, and they all seem to be studying. Big piles of books mounded up on various tables and dressers, and they're all reading with these thick glasses, and they all have comb-overs and very long, wise wizard beards. And one of them turns to you and says, "Oh, look, brothers. It appears that one of our own have decided to grace us with their most fortuitous visit. Tell us, what confabulations have you brought us, brother?"
What sacrilege is going on here?
Sacrilege? Ha! Highly preposterous. The only thing sacrilegious here, brother, is that you haven't had a chance to read Nexon's Third Guide to the 15th Century. Do you realize exactly how much political power the goblin must need in order to advance themselves in a state that doesn't fully accept the proprietation of monsters? We have so much literature for you, brother.
Words, they steal part of your soul. Don't you remember this?
They don't steal part of your soul. That's how the man keeps the goblin down, by telling them they can't educate themselves. They all start basically encroaching on Tac, each with like books and pamphlets showing him the words and saying, "Read it! Understand that there's so much more you can be, brother, than just an archer. You could be a wizard too. All you need to do is stop letting the elf tell you that you can't do these things."
I think Tac is about to get radicalized.
He says, "Come on, brother. Look at you. I bet they make you go first. I bet whenever something dangerous happens, they tell you to hold on to it. Because you're expendable, brother. This is the life of the goblin.
We have never said that he is expendable. Short-lived, yes. Lacking in any contribution of any significance to society, yes. But we have never said that he is expendable. Thank you very much. I'm busy looking at the quality of the books and seeing if any of them are valuable.
Oh, high quality. And in fact, you also notice that on one of their hips, there appears to be like a magnifying glass made of like sterling silver, and this very, very ornate curvatured glass.
Right. Well, then, yes, that's where I'm making my way. Wild hand gestures. That is a goblin who is frequently praised. Did I not in my poem write, Did his companions rally their courage he fed? Yes, absolutely. He is a companion. He is in literature already. So be silent, you. And, oh, look, he's a dwarf. He's a dwarf. You should pick on them. They're short. They can't run very fast. And whilst he's doing that, I try and go for the
thievery. Yep. All right. Make your thievery check.
I'm a monk. I can run very fast.
My brothers.
Oh,
Why have you started reading and writing?
What was the thievery check?
The thievery check was 27.
27.
No, 28. 19 plus 9, 28.
All right.
Yeah, and I'm an expert in it.
All right. You lift up the the magnifying glass from this goblin. Tak, they're sort of trying to explain to you how you're the one who's been left in the dark. Goblin society has evolved. It's moved on from what you know, and we don't want you to be left behind. People are lying to you. People have lied to you your whole life just to try and keep you being that frontline fighter by trying to make you the one that gets killed instead of these precious elves. They already lived for so long. Why do you think goblin lives only start when they're 5 years old? Moving very quickly aside, as Carrick has his magnifying glass, he hears a voice coming from behind him. It is a familiar voice. It is a very matron-like voice that speaks to him from behind. Is that what you're reduced to now? Is that how I brought you up? Stealing things from little goblins. You ought to be ashamed of yourself. You turn and you see this rather buxom woman that bears a striking resemblance to a very maternal figure to you.
Well,
But don't just stand there uttering over yourself. Come on, stand up straight. Speak up.
How did...
Oh, well, I'll have none of this. Listen here, you. I bet you're here only because you managed to get yourself into a whole mess of trouble. I have told you so many times not to hang out with those boys down on 15th Street, and what did you do?
It was not me, Ma. It was the dwarf. He did it all. He came out of nowhere.
Don't you blame the young McKillicuddy kid. It's not his fault. His pa's a drunk. I am no such thing. You were brought up with better manners than this. And look at you. You're not even stealing the valuable stuff. Look at that. What's that? Some sort of wizardy eyeball projection thing.
It was just the beginning to see what they were, how they behave like, and whether they notice or not.
Is this going to pay for your younger sister's college now, is it? Is this going to give them a better life? No, of course. You don't think about that. You never thought about that.
And neither would sleep with all the boys that she sleeps with get her into college either, but I don't see you stopping her from doing that, do you? No.
You watch your mouth. Now, as this is happening, the three of Tak is pretty much just engrossed in this bombardment of
he's getting radicalized.
Yeah, basically these goblins who are just waving pamphlets at him, and you see Sarek suddenly just basically defending himself against this. I mean, bear in mind, she is actually a lot larger than your average woman as well. Like, her size compared to Carrick is not that of a regular woman to Carrick. It looks as though Carrick is child size compared to how large this other woman is. Rendrick, Telran, what are you guys doing while this is occurring?
Rendrick is sort of side shuffling around out of this whole conversation because he wants no part of this debate.
All right. As you move back, you feel a very short and sharp strike to the top of your head from what appears to be a bamboo stick. Whack!
I turn to his side.
Do you know who I am? Before you is an elderly man, a dwarf with this very long, straight white beard, and a shaved head with several golden sort of baubles burnt into his forehead in 6 different locations. He holds a bamboo staff and wears monk robes.
You should not be here.
Oh, but I am. You thought you could sneak away like a thief in the middle of the night and ally yourself with evildoers. For shame, Renderick.
It is not allied. It is a common cause.
Oh, yes. When one seeks commonness, one can find it, especially in the alleyways of such a city as Absalom. You left the monastery before your training was completed. You suffered from the greatest sin of all. Pride, young son. And now look, you are here in the land of the dead with this thief, this monster, and this... Okay, he's okay, but you know, the other 2 are unacceptable.
I am here I choose to be here, for I am meant to be here. My path has not strayed.
He hits you on the head again. Meant to be here? Meant to be here? You are meant to be dead? What is wrong with you?
I cannot.
Great desire. Is this why you spent all those times push-ups, sit-ups, squats, all the other exercises that clearly I do in my life? Is this why you trained and honed your body to perfection so that the great Rory could watch you die?
Why are you here?
I
To
am
scold
here.
me?
Yes! That is exactly why I'm here. I am here to tell you that there is a better way. You need to center yourself, and you need to find your own truth. Sit!
I'll sit down.
Back straight! Close your eyes! As he begins to meditate, every now and then this old dwarf just smacks him on the shoulders. He straightens up a bit more and tries to focus his mind. Telran, what are you doing while this is happening?
I'm just like, I don't know what to think of the goblins. Like, they're wizards, so I can understand where they're coming from, but like, the radicalism behind it all. Then being told off by his mum, I'm just like, well, I don't want to step in between that. And then Rendrick and his master, it's like, yeah, maybe not either.
All right. As you look confusedly at the group and their various plights, you turn and you half expect, after seeing everyone else have something, you're kind of like, damn it, something's coming up, something terrible, something horrible from my path. And you actually turn and see yourself.
Oh, God.
Oh, God. Yeah, this is weird. Hey.
How's it going, man?
Yeah, it was going good. How's things with you? I mean, we're dead. That kind of sucked.
It does, really. So are you, like, here to plight me, or, like...
Well, I was actually about to ask you the same thing. I mean, technically, I'm you, so, right, I mean, are you here to plight yourself?
I don't know. I guess I'm here to, like, save my friends, so I might as well do something at this point.
Well, you see, that's kind of what I was about. But then, I keep thinking to myself that all these other guys, right? They're, they've got like such strong things, like that guy hates, books, and that guy, oh man, he's clearly got parental issues, and I think that guy might too. But I mean, we're just happy to be here, and I think they could use some help, but I don't know what to do. Do you know what to do?
Maybe help them.
Yep, but you threw the dispel magic earlier on, and no one even saw me do that. I mean, doesn't that suck?
The thought was there, though.
I mean, yeah, but who else is going to think about it? I mean,
Assuming you're me, do you reckon it would be a good idea to get a tattoo?
oh yeah. I mean, like, just on the neck, just this side.
Oh,
Just
yeah.
like
Nice.
two runes, I reckon.
So if you were in the same situation, what spell would you cast?
Oh, me? Oh, well, if I was you, I am. This would probably be something to do with the swamp and that gas in the swamp and all that sort of stuff. You know how electricity tends to I
Like I've already prepared the electricity.
yeah. I mean, yeah, of course. I'd give him a good zap. Reset the thing and all that. But
Sounds like a good idea.
but wait, before you do that, right? I mean, is it worth it? I mean, none of them will even know that you do it. None of them will even appreciate what you've done. I mean, it's like the lizard all over again. I mean, why perpetuate the cycle? Why bother?
Because I'm just a nice guy, and I can't get over that I'm a nice guy.
Yeah, all right. Yeah, okay.
Well, nice talking to you, buddy, but I'll catch you later.
Yeah, nice talking to you too. I mean, it's good to have that bonding moment. All right.
I finally released the electric arc into the water and electrocute everyone.
All right. Roll a d6 as everyone takes electric damage. And as soon as you do, the electricity churns through your body, and you can see seated, sort of in the bog, appears to be this large fungal tree from which dangles these limbs and appendages and body parts.
Nice. Well, I rolled a 6 for the damage.
Well, everyone takes 6 points of damage.
Did we heal up at all, or are we still feeling it from the last encounter?
You're still feeling it from the last encounter. Because no one made a
we
heal.
never really rested.
Yeah.
Nope. All right. The tree, now everyone can see, is like this blackened, gnarled, nasty-looking tree with a humanoid face etched into the bark. Hanging from its branches, apart from the, dripping visceral limbs, is also 4 jade limbs.
Well, fellas.
And it's are all our apparitions vanished?
No, they're still around, but you seem to have... It seems as though they've been pushed back away from you. So the goblins, the parent, the version of Telran, and the master have been pushed to the edge of the mist, and standing in the cleared area now, where there's no, kind of fog, is this tree.
What happens in the swamp stays in the swamp is all I'm saying. Are their limbs tied?
They seem to be sort of draped, like they're hanging loosely over the...
Then I'm going to reach out with Mage Hand and try and pull one of the limbs towards me.
Oh, easy. All right. As you do so, your parent yells out, Sarek Rothwar, you put that back right this second.
You don't tell me what to do anymore, Mother. I moved out long ago. You're not the boss of me anymore. I know where I'm going with my own fated destiny.
Oh, yes, you're going right to the grave, you are, and that's where you'll take your poor mother.
And that's where you belong, I say as I pull another arm from the...
All right. Tac, what are you doing?
I see this happen, and I motion over to Carrick. Just get into the bag of holding, right here.
All right. Straight in goes the one of the arms. All right.
You coming?
Rendrick.
I am still meditating,
Yep.
for I have not opened my eyes.
Oh, you can hear the sound. You can hear the chaotic sounds of your your companions, but you're
The shock
meditating.
was him.
That's what they did at you at the monastery?
Yeah, we just kept electrocuting him while he was meditating. Okay. All right. Remaining disciplined. You know what? I'm actually going to do something. I'm going to give you a hero point, which I'm going to figure out what it does in a second. Okay. After that, Telran, what are you doing? Your thing's muted.
Trying to help, I guess.
Okay. So you're gonna try and grab one of the limbs?
Yeah. You like run and jump off the tree and snatch one out the air, off one of the branches.
Okay. So, make a acrobatics check as you attempt to do so.
How does an 11 sound?
An 11? It sounds unsuccessful, but it'll lead us into rolling initiative. But before then, just looking at the hero point stuff, every character starts the game with 1 hero point. Spending a hero point will stave off death. So if you gain the dying condition, or the dying condition increases in severity, you can spend a hero point to lose the dying condition entirely and go to 1 hit point. So that is what everyone has. With Rendrick, because he had given up his surprise thingy, will gain an extra 1 point. I'm actually also going to award an additional 1 to everyone for good role-playing in that particular section there against their evil counterparts. And if you wish to, you may spend 2 hero points to re-roll a d20, but you must use the second result. If you fail the check still, however, you will regain 1 hero point that you've spent. Okay? Cool. Initiatives.
So what are we rolling for initiative?
Jeez. Okay, you know what? In playtest wise, that is going to get very annoying.
It is, right?
Well, it is still called roll for initiative.
Oh, it is. No, but then I have to decide what we're going to roll for initiative.
What skill?
So I'm going to, because of the nature of the fight, I'm going to say that everyone can roll me a wisdom check for their initiative because of the nature of illusions and things like that.
12.
13.
20.
9.
Okay. So first and foremost, meditating like a boss. Rendrick, you are now aware of the tree and the danger. You are now immune to the effect of the illusion. So you've kind of like seen through the illusion now. And you can see basically the tree is apparently releasing these spores, which is creating this mist. So basically the bark is like exuding this kind of white vaporous cloud.
So, what? Do we still have the Jade arms and legs attached to the tree?
You have 1 arm and 1 leg that is now in well, 1 is in Tac-Tac's bag and 1 is being carried by Carrick at the moment. The other arm and leg is still in the tree. The tree, Talrad is next to the tree. Tac-Tac and Carrick are about 15 foot away from the tree. You are about 10 foot away with Rendrick.
Okay. I will step up to the tree.
Yep.
Move into a tiger's stance and start ripping the bark off it. Trying
Okay.
to get to whatever the cause for the spores are.
No, he does it like cats like when they scratch on your furniture.
Right.
And they're like, if you've got cats like me, you know it's a plight. All right, make your attack. As you move up 10 foot.
Flurry of blows. So 17 for one and 25 for the other.
25 will hit, 17 will not hit.
Attack roll. 13 damage.
13 damage. It's bludgeoning or piercing, slashing?
Slashing.
Slashing. Okay, cool. 13 slashing damage. It seems to be rather effective against the creature. As it then goes to the creature's turn.
Well, you don't really punch a tree.
No. Well, you can. I mean, just not very well. Oh, boom. Ah.
Sounds
Okay.
like training for like Redrick.
Okay. It uses its special ability. Tac. Several of your goblin comrades say, "No, comrade. Be calm. You need to relax. They're just sending you to die. Don't go off and do it. Just sit here and read this. It's Shin Sui's Guide to Inner Peace. Inner peace. Inner peace."
Is it my turn?
I see how it is. Yes, it is your turn. They're very distracting.
Tac draws an arrow and he aims towards a tree and he says, "Let the ruling class tremble at the communistic revolution." And he lets loose. He lets loose.
God, it's all gone to pot now.
That's not the communist revolution. That's a tree. There's the bourgeois aristocracy. Right there.
29.
pointing at Carrick. 29 will hit.
6 damage.
6 damage. Okay. You don't do as much damage as you think you do, but you still do damage as your arrow sinks into the tree. The goblins. Oh, you're gone.
I'm only gonna let loose one more arrow because the third arrow's got like -8 to the attack. So
go ahead.
Natural 20.
Nice. With a critical hit, that is double damage. And because your weapon is deadly, the second dice you roll is a D10, not a D8.
Okay, then that is a 4.
On a crit? Why? Nothing happens. Your crit hits it, but it doesn't seem to have any impact.
As I shoot the arrow, I say, "The proletariats have nothing to lose but their chains."
Only if they're worth something.
And the goblins also say, "Look at you, holding out your bag of holding, waiting for the scraps from your master's table. Don't fall into the man. Make him carry his own statue." Okay, and then we go
to tune it out.
and then we go to Carrick.
I'll have you know, mage hand, pulling the next limb.
Mm-hmm.
I'm doing just as much work as he is. This is so stressful. No, hold the bag open more, you idiot. Come on. There we go. All right. Oh, such hard work using all this magic. It's just...
Roll a deception check real quick for us.
13.
13. With a 13, he is trying to make using Mage Hand as difficult as possible. You have actually never seen anyone cast this spell with more effort in your life as he... It's like watching an episode of Dragon Ball Z where, there's like this big...
Right.
Yeah, it's like one of those moments. All right. Then
the guy just blocks it in the end.
As the limb falls safely into Tac-Tac's bag, among all of them, you now have possession of 3 out of 4 of the limbs. We then go to Telran.
Well, I think I can do Mage Hand twice.
Oh, can you?
So I don't know what the travel time is. Hang on a second, because
travel time.
Remember, spells have now got timers.
So let's have a look.
Oh no, Mage Hand takes 2 actions out of the 3, so I can start the next one.
Oh well, I mean, you could technically, throw a rock at one.
No, nothing like that. Don't need to be violent. That's dangerous.
Okay. It's dangerous. Okay, very well. Moving on, we then go to Telran.
Can I call out to Rendrick and be like, yo, Rendrick, you want to buff by any chance, bud?
I'm not opposed to help.
How about growing in size a few more feet?
That would level the playing field against a tree.
I'm going to cast Enlargen on my friend Rendrick.
Very well. As the energy swirl around Rendrick, his body begins to expand and grow larger. Basically, as he becomes the size of a giant, he also becomes sluggish, but his reach is increased, and he gains +2 bonus to his melee damage.
Yep, cool.
Now, because you're level 4, is that how heightened works? I feel like no, it's not. You need to actually prepare the spell at a higher level. Which, that's
cool.
fine.
Too easy.
Okay. And it will last for 1 minute, as now the immense and powerful Rendrick stands the equal size to this giant tree. And goes to his turn.
Now being large, still being in my tiger stance, and being next to the tree, I unleash with all my fury.
4 attacks.
My hands growing blue with my key energy. I'm using key strike and attacking my first attack with flurry of blows. That is a 16.
That will not hit.
And a 23.
That will hit.
Cool. So that does. So it's a +2 for enlarge.
No, for damage, yeah.
Yeah, damage. Cool. So grabbing a huge bit of bark, I wrench it away, causing 13 damage.
Oh, dang.
I then grab a branch with another attack, try to rip it off.
Yep.
So say 22 minus 4 because I'm agile. So 18.
That'll hit.
Awesome. That does 15 damage.
All right. Just ripping chunks and bits of wood, flinging them over his shoulder. Your last attack?
I will launch one last attack. Oh, sweet. So 19 plus 11 is 30 minus 8, 22.
That'll hit. Damn.
That causes 12 damage.
All right.
This is one dead shrubbery.
It's still kicking. It's got a little bit of life left to it. It's got one more turn, I reckon. And in that turn, it's going to call upon its greatest defender. Which it does not. At least not very well. Yes, the monk rushes forward. But as it does, Telran's clone appears and stops the master and says, whoa, hey man, listen. I got this, okay? You go over there and sit down and enjoy your, enjoy your thing. I got this. I got this handled. And he walks up and he sort of just stands there like, yeah. He is not very convincing as a defender at all. All right. We then go to Tac Tac.
Tac Tac turns to his fellow goblins. I understand. There's wisdom in your words, brothers. But I owe these people, and I will have to fight for them.
That's what they want you to think. They want to keep you indebted.
I will take this wisdom you've given to me. I do believe that our people are oppressed, but there are different ways to fixing that. And these are my friends. And I shoot an arrow out the tree.
All right, make your attack against the tree.
20.
20 will hit. As the arrow looses and flies with the spirit of friendship.
5.
It deals no damage to the tree. As it hits the hard bark. You're good. Okay. All right. As the arrow of friendship lands somewhat, we then move on to Carrick.
Are the goblins still looking?
They're looking. But,
and the final
oh,
limb.
don't give it all of that. You're milking it more than Daisy was.
Shut up, mother!
Shut it up.
Shut it up! Shut it up! I've had enough of you!
She was a nice girl.
Do you
She was
know
a
how
nice girl.
I don't care about Daisy anymore. Do you know how difficult it was for me to get rid of this blasted accent that your low breeding brought upon me?
Low breeding. Oh, look at him talking now, all high and mighty.
I am a theatre actor. Damn you!
Oh yes, no, that's what it is. It's too good. You know, everyone says that they can't hear him anymore. Can't tell where he came from. But
exactly.
He came from a dairy farm on the outer skirts of Nermantas. That's where he came from.
Oh, why didn't you just tell everybody? That's right.
Yeah, I will. You say he walks around acting like he's some Taldan man with his stick right so far up his ass that if you were to pop a cherry up there, he'd turn into an umbrella.
Well, at least I've got a stick. I said. I walked back to Tac. We're leaving, aren't we? Now?
All right.
I do believe so.
Excellent. Okay. As you move away, make a perception check, please, Carrick.
It's 18.
All right. As you begin to walk away, being the only person who has walked away this distance at this point, you realize that your feet begin to trip up underneath the sloshing peat and mud, and there appear to be roots dug in literally everywhere underneath your feet, and they move and they wriggle and they writhe like living serpents.
Fellows, maybe we should summon the cow. He can't come this far. Where anyone else notice the ground being strange?
You all can look down, and because he points it out, you can also see, like, the fog was basically concealing most of it, and then the mud as well. But now that you're looking, you can see the mud shifting and twisting and bending.
I think we should run.
I do believe now is the time to leave, fellas.
All right. Telran, you see your clone?
You really want to do this, buddy? Like, we had such a nice talk.
Well, I mean, yeah, we did, but I mean, everyone else is kind of fighting, and they're my guys, and you've got your guys, and I'm kind of at this come at me, bro moment. Like I'm at this like come at me, and then I could be like, oh man, did you see that? They like came at me, and I did it.
You're more depressing than I am.
Well, I mean, we're probably about the same. I mean, all things.
No. You're more depressing.
I don't know. I feel like we're one and the same. I mean, it's not like you're hanging out with high class wizards here.
I heard that.
I mean, look at that guy. He's taking so much effort to use a cantrip.
No, that's just his thing. Like, effort's his thing.
Oh, is it?
That's why he's worth fighting for.
Oh, okay. Well, yeah. Well, I mean, well then fight me, bro.
Okay,
All
puff
right.
him up.
Go, you too. Come on.
Burning hands.
Oh. All right. Reflex save for the tree and your clone. They rolled a natural 1. The fires lick forward and engulf the clone of you as well as the tree. And you know what? I'm not gonna end it like that. Give me a second. I'm gonna percentage this thing in. All right. As the flames lick up and hit the tree, you see the flames seem to carry on like a stream of fire engulfing this massive tree. You hear the roar of pain and anguish, and then suddenly you watch as the flames begin to recede. And as they push back and push forward, you see the clone of you also casting burning hands as the two flames collide with each other, pushing back and pushing forward, pushing back and pushing forward. Make me a spell roll, please.
Spell roll. What's
Here
a
we
spell?
go.
You got this, Terry.
Okay.
You got
Natural
this.
20! Natural 20!
The flames, they go back, they go forward. It's a dramatic moment. You see them, Dragon Ball Z style, as the flames finally erupt over the trees. And
That's what I like to hear.
All right. As the flames burn through the tree yells out in pain and crashes to the ground. And as it does, the tendrils leap up and begin to lash out. This is now going into a skills challenge event that I'm going to be running, which means that you guys need to make 4 successful checks before you make 4 failures. Should you do so, you will escape happily. Should you fail, however, terrible things await you. All right, so first and foremost, you are in the mud and need to retreat. You begin to make your way out and through, but the vines seem to be grabbing and pulling at your leg. You will need to make an athletics check to try and wrench yourself and your friends free.
Is this considered difficult terrain?
Yes, but that's not what's hindering you.
Whoever's got the best athletics, I suggest you make that roll.
I got a +5 to mine.
Whoa. Hang on. I'm gonna backtrack this a bit. You don't need to share what your roles are. Just volunteer.
I'll go.
All right.
I've
There we
got
go.
a medallion that helps my athletics.
Oh, yes, you could share that.
I'm a monk.
All right.
Fair point.
I'm an expert. Expert athletics.
All right. Athletics, go.
21.
Very well. Quickly and surely, you wrench and rip at the vines, freeing yourself from their confines as you continue to move and charge forward. As you do so, you see that the ground itself swells and washes like a wave, pushing towards you. Up ahead, there's a whole bunch of vines that seem very similar to all the other kind of areas that you've been through, and you kind of seemed like it might be difficult to navigate through this area. Make a survival check to try and find your way back to the clearing.
I guess I'll do that one.
Mm-hmm.
$14?
No, with a 14, sadly, you get turned around as you, as all the areas
Sorry.
look exactly the same. Tac goes this way, and you all head that way. Meanwhile, like the Undertaker's on the other side of that little clearing, going.
Yeah, he's going to capitalize.
All right. As you turn and you begin to make your way through, you find that there is a large kind of body of hair that seems to be in front of you. As you approach, it sort of rises up, and what looks to be a rotting bear carcass seems to stare at you aggressively and roars with a thunderous sound. Now, there's multiple ways you can tend to deal with this, but the ways I recommend would be nature in order to try and handle this animal and tell it to basically piss off. You may also attempt a deception check to try and basically bluff which way you're going, or you can attempt a stealth check to try and sneak past it.
I always recommend stealth. But Talaran, if you have a different approach...
I do not in this circumstance.
Stealth would be 22.
22 is successful. As you slowly stop, you back yourself up into some bushes, and you make your way around the giant creature. It doesn't follow you, but certainly these vines follow you as they lash out, and they seem to wrap and entangle Tac-Tac. As they entangle him, you can feel tiny thorns digging into your flesh. They seem to be wanting to suck out your precious goblin juices. Telran, it is up to you. One more check and you can save everyone.
What about a vampiric touch on the tendril?
Well, that would basically be you sucking the blood out of the thing sucking his blood. So, I mean, while that would be entertaining, I don't know if that would be very helpful. You could try to rip him out, rip him free. You could try to chop the vine. You could try to, I don't know, a whole bunch of things. What you got?
Oh.
Tac,
What about
tac.
a magic missile?
You can use magic
work?
missile if you like. Tac-Tac cries out for help.
Fellas,
All right, what's the damage on the magic missile?
Use all 3 actions to cast it. You get 3.
Mm-hmm. 14 is what
14 damage.
What I mouth read. Yes, 14 damage. With 14 damage, that is enough to snap the vines and the tendrils, and Tac-Tac gets down, and you manage to run into the clearing, where the Undertaker sees you pretty much covered in mud and bits of like blood and gore from the tree, and he seems a bit concerned, saying,
Not a word. I mean, not a word. What happened in that swamp stays in that swamp.
Very well. Where would you like me to take you? Perhaps a bath?
Gravesite of whatever his name was.
Ah, Arius Eliadra.
Very well.
You
I
know
can
where
take you
he's
to this
buried?
place. Yes. Arusel Eliadre. Yes, I can take you to this place. He allows you on the carriage, but he demands that you dust yourself off first, wipe your feet, which is really amusing because he, your whole body is like covered in mud, and you just sort of wipe your feet and you walk in. He takes you on a long journey that takes a couple of hours. You have plenty of time to rest and recuperate after your near-death experience before arriving at a large mausoleum. This mausoleum has the name Arusel Eliadre written atop its stone plaque.
It would appear that we are here. All right. Any great words of wisdom if we're going to go into this mausoleum? Any rites we should observe so as not to upset the dead? He is obviously a friend of ours. We want to pay respect since we're here.
Well, if you have my advice, I'd say watch that first step, because it's a doozy.
Nice.
I take your meaning, sir.
And with that, he basically gets back in the carriage, and the carriage...
Right. Traps. Traps is what he was meaning. So that means someone who's good at finding traps should go first. I'm thinking Rendrick.
I have keen eyes.
Exactly.
I
And you're
will
that
find
much
it.
closer to the ground than either Teleran or myself, so it would make sense.
The benefit of being short.
Yes, let's phrase it like that. Yes.
All right, Rendrick, approaching the mausoleum, you grab hold of the rusty iron gate as you slowly edge it open. And when he does so, to the rest of you, Rendrick disappears.
Right, so apparently he wasn't very good at finding traps. Tac.
Well, I do believe we can learn something from this experience. Maybe not touching that door. I'm gonna look at the door and see if there's anything on it that suggests like teleportation or something like that, or some sort of trap.
Without expertise, you have no idea. However, you do look, and you can probably try and just walk down the stairs. Now the gate is somewhat open.
Oh, okay. I thought he fell in or something.
No, he sort of grabbed the handle and opened it, and as he opened it, he just sort of disappeared.
Well, follow me, fellas.
As he takes his first
running.
step through the threshold, he disappears.
Well, now both traps have been detonated, Teleran. After you.
How about together, okay?
Yes, absolutely. On the count of 3.
1, 2, 3.
I push him.
All right. Teleran, as you step through the threshold, you disappear as well.
Oh,
Carrick, you realize very quickly that despite your pet companions probably dying, you also realize that they had the Jade statue.
Oh, bugger! All right, I step down the stairs. Oh.
As you do so, you appear, and you appear to be about 5 foot off the ground. Make a reflex save.
Oh, wow. Reflex is 19, 20. It's a lot, like 28.
That's fine. All right. As you sort of manage to catch yourself before you land on the ground, you see Rendrick, Telran, and Tac all within the same large antechamber with a single coffin that seems to be the main attraction in here.
You're all alive! Oh, fantastic! I was so worried for you. I sacrificed myself to come and join you. I hope you realize this. We thought you were actually dead, but
candle lights atop skulls illuminate this entire area. As you can see this coffin that sits there.
Well, shall we put the statue together?
Yeah, I do believe we should. I start taking out the pieces and I start handing it to everybody.
All right. Everyone gets given pieces of the statue.
Hopefully we doesn't explode.
Well, it's not like we're going to die again.
Both make
we
excellent
could just be
points.
erased from existence, but
Let's not think about that right now. We're so close.
I'm with the goblin on this one.
I love how depressing the dwarf is. I can see why, for those of you who watch the Adventures of the Windswift, if you ever wonder why dwarves are so depressing, case in point, they just are. All right, so heading over to the coffin with your various pieces assembled. Does anyone? I assume you guys push open the lid.
Yes.
And inside you see a hollow chamber with literally an opening that has the indentation inside for a person.
Put the statue in.
or a statue.
Begin placing the statue pieces, and as they do, you see these green lights assemble, and as they do, the lid flings back up and slams shut. There is a shudder and a shake as this yellow light streams in from the sky and lands firmly on the coffin. The light itself is hot to the touch as it slowly begins to shake and rattle the actual coffin itself. All of a sudden, there's a huge flash and the coffin disappears from sight. You are alone in the antechamber with no visible exits.
Well, our job's done. How we get out is not clear.
Well, thankfully, it doesn't take long. A individual appears in the room. Out of the darkness steps this large vulture-like creature, a skeleton human body, large black wings, a vulture's head also skeletized, and a scythe in one hand. It twists its head and it turns to examine you. The feeling you get is like stone is in the air, like everything about you suddenly becomes heavy. And it says in a deep voice, Karik, Tak, Telran, and Rendrick. The time for your judgment is upon you.
Actually, I'm a bit busy.
Sounds like you just got a phone call. You might want to pick that up first.
I did not. That was
Well,
actually the
lads,
timer telling me.
It looks like our time has come.
I thought we had a deal. Once we returned that bloody body, we were supposed to get out of here.
Wow. Does it say anything on the note?
You open up the note, and as you read from it, the words seem to have disappeared completely. It is now a blank parchment.
Well, jolly fellas. Nice knowing ya.
Oh, we've been played. We've got one card of our sleeves. Let's don't use the whistle. Use the whistle. Bring the Undertaker here. I'll give him my soul. I'm not going to go and get judged. I've already had that today with my mother.
Or blow the whistle.
As you blow the whistle, instead of a pair of scissors appearing, there appears to be a note.
Reading the note.
Apologies, friends, but I'm afraid that this is the last you will see of me. I was not completely honest about my position here, and you've gained some unwanted company that I'd much rather avoid.
Coward.
Best of luck, and should you survive your encounter, please feel free to look me up. I am currently resided at this address, and it's 185 Bleecker Street, Ustalav.
Well, at least you know that you don't have to give your stuff to him anymore, because he's violated the deal as far as I'm concerned.
The large vulture clears its throat. We mustn't tarry. She doesn't like to be kept waiting.
Well, let's go, fellas.
He places his hands out, waiting for you to take it. As you take it, you watch as he basically gets transformed into this small spiral kind of like bead, which is now in the palm of this creature's hand. Holds it out to each of you.
So I guess this is it.
We don't have much choice.
But
I'm not ready. I've got things to do. I pull out a sheet of paper. I'm just going to finish writing my autobiography. I've only got about 10,000 pages to go. Go ahead without me. It'll be fine.
As he gestures towards you, the bead falls to the ground. He walks over and he picks it up. Walking over to Tak, places his hand for him to take.
Well, fellas, it seems like it's the end of the road, but I feel like I have some things to do on the other side. And I pull out my my longbow.
All right, make your attack.
That is a natural 20.
All right, roll your damage.
Attacking the Herald of Death.
Spoiler alert, 4 damage.
Actually, it's 8 because I rolled a 4, so 8 damage.
Nice.
Okay, 8 points of damage. Your arrow passes through its eye and hits the back of its skull. The skull cracks ever so slightly over one of its eyes. As it does so, it seems to let loose a sigh and reaches forth and touches your back and turns you again into a small bead. Then looks to Rendrick, who is as still and quiet as the stone itself.
Damn it, I thought I was hiding. I guess I'll have to come. Reach out my hand.
Okay,
Take
and he transforms you. The next thing you will remember is awakening in a large room. There are many souls that seem to be bustling and hustling in this area. And seated on this huge ebony throne is this dark-skinned woman with white hair. Her hair almost living like she's perpetually immersed in water, floating in the air, while she looks upon a mirror that seems to be reflecting the souls of those who are just in front of you. As soon as she passes judgment, she waves her hand, summoning you to her. Your bodies move almost unwillingly towards her. She looks at you, and within a single moment, a flash of inspiration jettisons your lives from your bodies, like almost like a reel of film being watched on the mirror in front of her. Every moment, every sin, every vice, every joy, every righteous act presented for everyone to watch. And as that happens, she turns to you and she opens her ruby lips. And as she does so, her eyes fill with fear and dread. A black hole opens in her chest. Blood pours forth. Her eyes and face go pale as she falls back into her chair. There is silence over the entire place before sudden panic as everyone rushes to attend and somebody whispers, afraid to say what they know. The god of death has died. And that is where we are going to be leaving this adventure on this highly dramatic note. Thank you very much, guys, for joining us. If you actually want to know more about what is going to happen with this particular story, this is actually the prelude to a series of adventures I'm going to be running among the playtests, as well as for my very own Patreon group, involving, obviously the death of Pharasma and a whole bunch of other stuff. This is, by the way, my own personal story set in Galarian. This is nothing to do with the canon, so don't run off to the forums and be like, what do you mean Tui killed off the gods? No, that's just me. Don't worry, that's a thing. We are going to be doing a very, 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 very quick breakdown on how we found this particular thing to be. So if you're going to join us for that, thank you very much. If you're not, thank you for joining us and for part 2 of this awesome adventure. My players and I had an awesome time, and I hope you guys did as well. A very special thank you to, of course, Master Guy, who has joined us from the land of How to Be a Great Game Master and Bacon Battalion. And if you want to check out more of his stuff and all the other cool stuff, links in the descriptions below. Go check all them stuff out. And of course, if you like this video and want to see more like it, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, and, we'll catch you guys later. In the meantime, however, going straight into the review. So, this particular playtest version, obviously the last part, what we wanted to do was see the get up and go. This was more about the game after that, if that makes sense. I know that sounds weird because we're technically just playing from one game to the other. But the first one is about kind of finding the feet, learning where everything is. This one was more about like getting comfortable with our characters and what we can actually do. And now that the rules, we're not sort of sitting there stressing out about like, are we playing this right? Is this how this is supposed to be? How does it feel as a natural RPG? How does it feel for us as players and us as a GM? So let's talk about it a bit. So let's start, of course, with Guy. Guy, what was your feeling towards this particular?
Well, I think it certainly flowed. I mean, once you're getting into a role-playing system, I think it worked very well. So we're all familiar with how Pathfinder works, and it still works exactly the same way. We don't have any silly dice that we have to roll, extra dice, that kind of stuff. I do think, though, that the numbers seem very high. Everyone is calling out numbers, and they're calling out 28, 22, 24. These are 5th level characters, so yes, they should be fairly powerful, but at the same time, calling those kinds of numbers, I mean, I've got +9 to several skills. I don't know, it just feels like we've just got these gigantic numbers that we're playing with. And I don't know if it makes sense. I mean, if I look at the skills that I have, some of my skills, which I'm not trained in at all, are sitting at a base of +4. Skills that I have expert in are sitting at basically 9, somewhere around there, 10 actually for the one with expert. I don't know, the numbers just seem very high. It doesn't make it a bad game. Just one that, as an old school sort of role player, you go, you rolled 26. You must have these huge amounts of bonuses. But everyone's been doing that, so there's definitely balance. It's just getting used to your difficulty numbers now. Instead of being, say, 15, should now sit somewhere around 20 mark. So that's just a bit of an adjustment. Otherwise, I think it's great. I think it works. I really do like the multiple actions thing. The more we play it, where you have 3 actions around, the more we play that, the more I like that. The more sense of continuity that happens when you can start a spell in one round and carry it through to the next. I do like that.
I did enjoy that too. And on the note of the skills and stuff like that, to kind of give a bit of extra leeway on how that kind of works. So as Guy has mentioned, some of his high skills some of the high skills or some of the average skills are like 9. The DCs currently for level 5 basically are listed here as a trivial skill or trivial act should have a DC of 14. A low challenge rating should have a difficulty of 18. A high should have a 21. And a severe should have a 22, with extreme being 25 for all the DCs as to what it is. So, for example, the tree was supposed to be a severe challenge, and the DC to hit it, or the AC in this case, was a 22 roughly, which, I thought was reasonable. But at the same time, there was a point where I think Rendrick landed every single one of his hits, even with a -10 penalty. So, I mean, I think there's still a little bit of tweaking here to go with that, but the high numbers, I think at level 20, it's like the extreme hits 47, and a trivial check at level 20 is 29.
Right. So, but again, that just speaks to system balance, doesn't it? So it's not necessarily a bad thing. It's just something that's different. From what we normally expect. Yeah.
No, absolutely. Sam, how did we feel?
My only problem is with I don't know if I'm doing it wrong, but when we get critical attacks and stuff, I seem to be rolling like
garbage. I think that's you, man.
I don't know if it's probably me doing it wrong, but my only problem was like how criticals were very underwhelming.
I mean, I don't know. I mean, crits aren't exactly all that unless you are a melee fighter, to be honest. Like even in 1E at the moment, if we're taking just a hypothetical 1d8 on a longbow, like a regular longbow, which is I think what you had, that's still just 2d8 points of damage flat with nothing attached to it. Until they start releasing a lot more feats and abilities like the deadly aim ability, for example, which I think maybe, do you have that one for your ranger? Things like that give you the ability to do a little bit more, and that's okay. That'll what's it called? No, you don't have deadly aim, or at least deadly aim is not something you get at level 5. But yeah, anyway, I digress. It's, like things that add static levels of damage to increase that. Because as Guy said in the last video, the hit points have also taken quite a staggering leap forward. And if you can't pierce through that, right? Like in this case with the archer trying to get through like just the basics kind of resistance, yeah, it can possibly kill a game. So the resistances are definitely something if you're playtesting to keep your eyes open for as well. Corey, how do we go?
I found it an enjoyable experience. Like, I'm not normally one to play a spellcaster, so it's pretty fresh to jump in as a spellcaster, but I found the way to play a spellcaster was very, like, refreshed and new. It was very enjoyable, like, the whole, I can do one spell and then start preparing another, release it, and then do another in the next round. So it's kind of like you keep channeling, like, whereas you just release one and that was it in the first edition. So it's more fluid, like how spellcaster would actually act in that situation.
Yeah, no, I quite enjoy that too. Now, I did allow the carrying over of the one action to the next round because it's like partially casting, only because I remember reading something about that, but I'm not 100% sure where to reference that. So if you've watched this and you thought, hey, that was really cool, and if I did make that up, then what you guys need to do is go to the forums, let them know, hey, this is how it should be. If it is how it is, leave a comment. Just let me know where to find it so that I can reference it later on when I do other playtests as well, because I'll look for it. But, there's 400 pages here. Okay. Mike, how do we go?
Yeah, I found it a lot of fun, very smooth. One of the biggest problems I have is that with the skills, it doesn't seem like the expert is really a difference from just being trained in something, because it's only like a +1 bonus. Maybe it gives you a little bit more knowledge, and if you roll high, but rolling average doesn't give you a huge boost. What I really like is with the spells, I was going through them, and it doesn't have that multiple degrees of failure that people use, that 1E has, which is the wizard has to hit, and they roll their ignore chance, like will saves and everything. There's only 1 degree, so the wizard hits and the spell goes off, or the spell casts and you get your save. The other one is with the critical success and the critical failures. So like say an area effect spell, where if you pass it, you halve the damage. If you critically pass it, you ignore the damage. If you fail, you take normal damage, and if you critically fail, you take double damage. So that's really cool. The new ways that spell works there. Yeah,
I mean, I do like it to a degree. I think they could lay it out a little bit better, because at the moment, I think it goes success, critical success, failure, critical failure. I think we were talking about it with Guy earlier on, where it should be critical success, success, failure, critical failure, as just, and that's so minor, but like the OCD, it is strong, and it bugs me. It bugs me. Cool. Well, okay, from my point of view, and here's what it comes down to. Backwards compatibility is very important. And what I tried to do as a GM today was to try and look at how much stuff that Paizo had. Like, Paizo obviously just released a whole bunch of books about places in the Boneyard, and that's why I chose to make this adventure. I wanted to see how much stuff from literally last month I could use in this current campaign. Without monsters even being backwards compatible, you have to be prepared. You have to be prepared to know that next year there is going to be a line drawn in the sand. It is going to be 1E, and then there is going to be second edition. This is not a bad thing, and I want everyone to hear me on this when I say this, and I will say this in a whole bunch of other videos. You do not need to move to second ed. Second ed will be great. Second ed will be a lot of fun, and one day second ed will have so much stuff that it'll compete heavily with 1E. But first edition Pathfinder is still, till date, one of the most versatile games for RPGs out there because of just how many years they've been producing content. Yes, it's not well organized, and you could probably lose half your character and not even realize it. But you could still play it once Second E launches, and you would spend years and never get through all the content. So don't panic. don't get to a point where you might feel like Second D is coming out and the whole fandom's going to move on and you're going to be left behind, because there are going to be tons of people, probably myself included, who are still going to enjoy 1E as much as Second D as well. So that's pretty much it from my feedback from this playtest. I hope you guys enjoyed it. I hope you guys loved every minute of it. I definitely had a lot of fun. Thank you to my players who were amazing and awesome and definitely enjoyable, especially given that I think some of them only had like 1 hour's notice before this game. And of course, thank you again to Master Guy, who has joined us all the way from the land of How to Be a Great GM. I love playing with Guy, and I love being on Guy's tables, and I look forward to the adventure, the Star Swift Chronicles that we'll be releasing sometime very soon on the channel Bacon Battalion, link in the description below. So from us here at Ask a Pathfinder, and of course from the various parts of the world that we hail from, make sure that you and yours keep your dice rolling, and make sure your ideas stay mindworm free. Have a good one, guys.